The Diaspora Show and Diaspora Life Show, and welcome again to our series. We've been discussing a lot of business and what's happening among the diaspora. Today, specifically, we want to discuss about the Kenyan economy post COVID-19. The world is completely changing before our eyes, and the only communities that are going to position themselves to benefit from the changing world are those ones who are going to take into consideration the changes that are going to happen to us. So it's my pleasure for me to host this gentleman today. And straight away, I'm going to ask David, welcome again to our show. Let's start with you. Please, again, just reintroduce yourself to our viewers and speak to us about where we go from here post COVID-19 when it comes to building the post COVID-19 economy for our country, especially, but more specifically when it comes to the diaspora.
Thank you. My name's David Ogega Ochwangi. I usually go by David Ogega because it's a lot easier for people to understand or to follow. I'm based out of Atlanta. My background is finance and accounting, work in the corporate America world, but primarily, in matters that have to do with finance and accounting. But like Chris said, like you said, I wear a few more hats beyond that, and one of which is being a community person. Some people call me a community leader. But for the purposes of, I guess, the show today, we wanted to take an opportunity to speak of what the opportunities are for the Kenyans in the diaspora and how it links to Kenya. A major part of our discussions today is that we see opportunities that are going to emerge for the Kenyans in the diaspora. Of course, it's global because I think the whole world is being reset. Even as disruptive as the COVID-19 has been, there's going to be more opportunities that come out of it for those that see and identify them. And we want to be able to be those folks, at least if there's an opportunity to be seized, we want to be able to also be a part of that. And I think we believe that as Kenyans who live in this diaspora, there's so much that we can do that kind of ties into the reset now. There's opportunities with companies or countries that are going to divest from China and do other things outside of China, and making or building products outside of China. And we want to be able to we can see some of those opportunities. There's downtown, I should say, in real estate, for example, in Kenya, where people are not investing as much as they would like to because there's not a lot of money. And we want us in the diaspora to seize those opportunities because there are bargains to be made. And we want to share that message and see what we can do about that, and also with our own banking, set up our financial institutions. So I know I've said a lot as an introduction, but those are generally what we would like to talk about. And hopefully we see how the rest of you guys think.
Awesome. In fact, thank you for you've laid the table very well for us. Because as it is right now, like I said in the beginning, people just have to position themselves to take part in the new world, or so to speak. I want to bring in Jonas. Jonas has a wealth of experience. He's traveled the world. He's an American. And Jonas, please introduce yourself to our viewers, but speak briefly about the future economy post COVID-19, because as everybody's saying, the world is going to look different. How do you see the world economy post COVID-19?
Well, Chris, thank you so much for having me, and it's nice to be here with Nathan and David. I do appreciate the opportunity. And just to briefly introduce myself, I'm actually born and raised in Sweden, and I came to the United States as a teenager. and I decided to stay in the United States. I'm now a US citizen. And in 2016, I was introduced to Kenya by a friend of mine. And when I say introduced to Kenya, I really got involved in understanding Kenyan history and Kenya present day. And I run a CBO out of Nairobi, and I do a lot of work throughout the communities, but mostly right now in the Muo or the Meru area. And I got in touch with David maybe 8 or 10 months ago, and he told me about the Capital Group, and I was very interested. And then in February, David and I went to the U.S.-Kenya Trade Forum at the in Washington when President Kenyatta met with President Trump, and kind of starting and opening a new door for trade talks between the United States and Kenya. So, addressing your question, I think that right now, everybody's looking at the world and they're wondering what's going to happen. Because, in my lifetime, this has never happened before. And I think that it actually is a great opportunity for, once things settle down, once we overcome, I do believe that, we can emphasize foreign investments in Kenya. And, other than the remittance, right now remittance is a major income for Kenyans. It really is. But I think the Capital Group can really emphasize a different form of investment rather than just consumptionable, products or services. And I think that's what we need to emphasize. We need to look at real investments rather than sending, just cash back to Kenya.
Nathan, the issue is that you and me, we've spoken about this. The world is changing before our eyes, and only those communities that are going to take advantage of these changes are the ones that are going to benefit from this. I would like you to speak about that briefly.
We've always said that the world is not flat, but now the world is flat. And those that take advantage of this opportunity will really reap the benefits. And what I mean by that is that economically, there are businesses that are thriving, online businesses that have taken advantage of the change in supply chains and demand because people are staying at home. The fact that 5G technology is coming to the fore, and more investments need to be made to make sure that you have that seamless connectivity. The nature of work has changed. I've been working from home for the last couple of months, so real estate markets are going to change. A good friend of mine told me, never waste a good crisis, and those that take advantage of these opportunities will reap to really benefit in not just now, but in the future. I can speak a little bit more about what that specifically means for the diaspora. I think it means that we need to quickly adapt. The Kenyan diaspora is lucky in that we have the connectivity. We're able to integrate with payments. The world has lagged on mobile payments, for example, so we need to make those investments and also take advantage of the fact that we can use that to continue to invest in the diaspora. And lastly, to also take advantage of the fact that we are seated in one of the most productive economies here in the United States. I think those that sit in the global, what we call the global north, in places like Canada, the UK, should take advantage and invest so that we get the dividends from companies and institutions that are going to really grow because of these opportunities that are opening in various industries.
Talking about the diaspora, David, Wangusi has just said that the diaspora should take advantage of this. You are in charge of different groups and different diaspora initiatives. How, in your view, and from where you sit, how are the diaspora positioning themselves to participate and take advantage of the new emerging economy post COVID-19?
Yeah, well, Chris, the truth of the matter is, of course, there's tremendous opportunity for us to grasp and seize. But I also feel that there's a lag, meaning that there's not many of us that really see it, because we've not really, most of our people have not foreseen what that portends or what it could mean. So to your question is that I think it's upon us, so those of us that, that have seen or that think there's something there to be had, to really start repositioning ourselves and getting the awareness and message out to as many of our people as we can. And I think I'm starting to see that there's a sense of appreciation for those opportunities, of reception to it.
Nathan, and David mentioned about this. The diaspora has a lot of power, but the problem with the diaspora, especially Kenyan diaspora, is that we are so disparate. Disparate in terms of we are not united. We don't think the same way. We can't come together as a group to make an impact, because, like the future economy is a situation where, you as a group, you come together and do big things. There are many opportunities currently in Kenya that the diaspora can take advantage of. But let's still linger on the changing economy, as it were. And you alluded to this earlier on. Please just speak to the reasons as to why the diaspora have to shape up and look at the bigger picture, just beyond buying clothes and houses at home.
Yeah, so you're right, David, that we are fragmented in the sense that we lack unity of economic purpose. Let me put it that way, that there are significant opportunities that have existed even without the pandemic, and significant opportunities that are going to open up that we are not taking advantage using the strength not only of our economic our economic strength, but then also our numbers. So as you said, we're just looking at the Kenyan diaspora without even including the rest of the African diaspora. There's hundreds of thousands of us here, and quite a good number of those are working in blue collar and very good jobs, as well as those that don't work in those that maybe in other sectors. There's also the power of the dollar. So for the same job here and the same job in Kenya, you're making significantly more money. And what we need to do is to figure out really quickly how to unify our economic strength. One of the things we've been thinking about and doing is to take advantage of the financial markets here. So, the US economy is one of the most productive, it's one of the most integrated, and there are a lot of financial institutions, brokerage and investment firms that help individuals or groups of individuals beyond going, to the extent that David have gone to form a financial institution or credit union. Our traditional approach has always been invest in real estate and also pay for social needs within our community. So mom is sick or someone at home needs to go to school. But there are other sectors, right? And what I think we can do differently is to start to put unity of purpose around investing. We're currently in the process of setting up an investment hub that brings together small investment clubs. So Kenyans understand the Chama system very well, right? And we want to transition that thinking, not only because of the generational change, as I was saying earlier, but also the opportunity that it brings to work with brokerage institutions here to get Kenyans investing the stock market, in financial instruments, not only for their long-term financial security, but just so that we are a bit more cohesive in how we're thinking about our economic well-being. What this means is that if you can do away with a lot of our, what I think of as first order problems, so just sending money for subsistence to the back to Kenya, if we can do away with that and go to a point where we are investing and making building wealth within our community, then the economic imperatives to start to invest at home change. So suddenly we are able, as groups of people, as chamas or collectives, start investing in companies or start investing in our own stock market. By the way, the Nairobi Stock Exchange has a very robust online platform that you can invest in. And then in small to medium enterprises, beyond, I think what we need to do is to move beyond this traditional thinking of just investing in land. And as you're saying, with COVID-19, you're not going to be able to travel. I mean, I was supposed to travel several times back home in the last couple of months, and I'm not able to do that. So I have to figure out really quickly how to start to invest without being there. And the instruments are there. We have good payment gateways through both bank and mobile money platforms. We have online trading platforms that we can take advantage of. We have the connectivity through Zoom, WhatsApp, that we can congregate and discuss and build. I've talked about investment clubs. I really encourage Kenyans who live in the diaspora to start thinking along those lines. We're very happy to work with you to help you set up these investment clubs and put you in touch with or connected with good brokerage firms that can help you build wealth together. So I think we just need to have a view of the fact that the opportunity and the imperatives are there. We just need to get unity of economic and financial capital and purpose to start to be transformative as a diaspora community.
Jonas, I want to say thank you specifically for opening up community-based organizations that helps people. I have a very strong interest. Actually, my background is in CBOs and NGOs. Before I came to the US almost 17 years ago, I was working at the NGOs Council. I was in charge of a lot of CBOs and NGOs in Kenya. And it warms my heart to know that there's somebody that I'm meeting in America who has a heart for the needless, for the less fortunate in our society. So even just very soon, I would like us to host a very special show just discussing charity and how charities are expected to survive in this COVID-19 issue. Because like it is right now, Jonas will agree with me that when the businesses suffer, the community also suffers, especially those ones who rely on the success of businesses. So I want to specifically thank you for thinking about the less privileged, and I hope that we can work together going forward on this. And just speaking about that, I just briefly talk about how important it is for the community not to forget about those ones who are less fortunate.
Well, I have been to Kenya many times, and a good friend of mine, we usually work with an orphanage out of Kasarani, and whenever I travel to Kenya, I go to the orphanage and I visit the kids and the director, and it changes your life when you see the conditions they live in. But simply giving back is enormous to me, and it's a way of giving hope. It's a way of giving life, and so I grow so much from it personally, and just giving and sharing means a lot. But, another part of that, which my CBO is part of, is also, in rural Kenya, there is, the young men and women, they need job skills. And a lot of times when you don't have the chance to go to the university, you need farming skills and other skills that you need to have a basic job. And that's one of the things that we also work with.
David, I will speak again briefly about this. Your group. You talked about establishing some sort of financial institution, and Nathan has also hinted upon that. Please, can you just elaborate briefly on what that is and how the diaspora can benefit from that?
Oh, beautiful. So thanks again. But this is what we've done, Chris. We feel that to have a working economic ecosystem, there are two parts that we feel that would be very effective in advancing that agenda. One is to have our own bank. And to Nathan's point once again is that we've had, the micro banking sector like SACCOs that we have even in the United States. So we felt that why don't we elevate that and form an actual bank, right, in the form of a credit union. Mm-hmm. The difference between a credit union and a commercial bank is they're all the same. In other words, you have a checking account, you can have a savings account, you have a debit card, you can get a credit card. All these things get loans, mortgages, and things like that. But the difference is that a commercial bank is normally, owned by investors. A credit union is owned by the members that have accounts in those in the bank. So that said, in the current environment in Kenya now, for example, we've had a situation where, before I get there, there's a distinction also between a credit union. I think a lot of our people confuse a credit union with a SACCO. A SACCO is, of course, an informal way of a merry-go-round or an investment club, but does not have all those features, especially in the environment that we live now. And it's unfortunate in some cases in the last several weeks we've read where they're either being mismanaged or a lot of people are losing money just because either of the circumstances or how they're being run. But when you have a bank and you actually have a properly regulated and run bank like the Diaspora Credit Union, hopefully we get that charter, then everything is up in the open, there's transparency in it. But the goal of it is that it will be now the reservoir or the collecting point where if we have Kenyans putting money in it in their bank, in the credit union, and have accounts in those in the bank, it'll be a lot easier for us then to tell them what are the opportunities that we have. We'll have access to all of the information in terms of who they are and then we can kind of redirect their money into investments.
No, on that note, let's go back to Nathan. Nathan, please just flesh a little bit on your concept. Is the concept of investment hubs is it sounds actually post COVID-19 because it's very new and it's there's a level of excitement about that. Please speak briefly about that.
So I think the proposition is slightly different because it's really trying to introduce the idea of wealth management within diaspora communities. We don't do a very good job at that. So through the life cycle of your career or the life cycle of your business, we tend to and I think this is because of the kind of communities that we come to. We tend to respond to the financial needs of our community through remittances, as we've discussed before. But what we're trying to do differently is to try and first teach the existing cadres of professionals who are working in different sectors, whether in blue or white collar jobs, how to invest, how to secure wealth for posterity. And then the second thing is to provide the instruments by which to do that. So what an investment club, it's a lot simpler than what David is talking about. A bank is a very highly regulated financial institution. It's really just bringing groups of people together that have a common interest in securing wealth in what we call investment clubs. So the framework is there. It's existed in this country for a very long time. In fact, a lot of big financial institutions or big investment institutions started from investment clubs. So the idea is very simple. You only just need a group of people with common purpose to collectively invest. And
Jonas, how does that sound? How these ideas are very interesting. How do you think about that? And I'm asking that because we just learned recently that in spite of the fact that close to 50 million Americans have lost their jobs and they're relying on unemployment, the Wall Street banks have made billions of money. Can you speak to that, please? And also just speak to what these two gentlemen are talking about. How do you see that fanning out as we move into the COVID-19 economy in the world and in Kenya specifically?
Well, I thank you. I think Nathan brought up something very important. You know, part of Maslow's theory of motivational needs is, you know, the final one, if you want to call it the final step, is self-actualization, is able to, you know, achieve what you want to achieve. And I think that's part of who we are. And it doesn't matter if we're, you know, Kenyans or Americans or Swedes. And I think that basic, that financial freedom, and, you know, I'm not saying that all financial investments is going to lead to financial freedom. If I knew the answer to that, I would be making a lot of money right now. But I think that's a very good start. And you know, and I go back to, I want to go back to Kenya a little bit. You know, when I go to Kenya, I see Kenyans working very, very hard. I mean, extremely hard. And, you know, it's true that the SMEs are an important and integral part of the Kenyan economy, right? But I think, you know, if you look at it from a business perspective, you know, investing in growing business and basically growing the Kenyan economy from a more fundamental point of view rather than over and above the SMEs. And I think that's kind of what I would like to emphasize. You know, you go back to, you mentioned the unemployment in the US, and I speak to many friends in Kenya. There's many struggling there as well. But I think, you know, the post-COVID, we're going back to the basics. I mean, we're really going back to the basics. And I see that you have to be entrepreneurial. And I see that all the time when I go to Kenya. It doesn't matter where I go. I can be in Nairobi, I can be in Kilifi, I can be in Bungoma. There are entrepreneurs all over the place.
I've been speaking to Jonas, Nathan, and David, and we are kicking off the conversation around the Kenyan economy, both at home and in the diaspora, post COVID-19. The world is changing before our eyes, and we also have to shape up or ship out. And shipping out in this case is no option because this is just how the world is going to look like. So it's been my pleasure to host our first discussion on the economy post COVID-19. We're going to have many more of these discussions because, like these ideas, most of these ideas that David and Nathan have, they're very complicated. So we in subsequent shows, we're going to be fleshing out how you can get involved and be a part of this. But again, my name is Chris Wamalwa, and this has been the Diaspora Life Show. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for kicking off us this very, very interesting discussions. I've learned a lot from you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.